Live fully, challenge yourself, be kind, be generous, be grateful, because it's never too late. Do these words resonate with you? Do these words describe one of your friends, family member, a colleague? These words describe our next guest on this episode of Defining Moments podcast. She's the executive director of Calm Waters. It's a nonprofit organization in Oklahoma City that provides grief support to children and families who've experienced a loss due to death or divorce. Her name is Erin Engelke. Not only is she an executive director, she's a wife, she's a mom to 3 children, she's got her own blog called Beauty in the Busyness, spelled out Busyness. In this blog, she breaks down work-life balance. She also gave a TED Talk a few years ago, which is actually really awesome because 2013 is when she gave it. 2019 is absolutely relevant. It's going to be absolutely relevant for the rest of our lives. She talks about her life, her experiences, from being 7 months pregnant. What did she do? What was her decision to take a job? How did she go about it? She talks about her favorite playground toy and how that relates to her life, work-life balance. My wife and I had the opportunity to sit down with Erin for about an hour a few weeks ago to record this podcast. It's a podcast that is heartwarming, heartfelt, authentic. That we have researched because we don't have a research team. We do all our own research. It's fun. So, yeah.
And by fun, you mean exhausting sometimes?
I mean,
probably.
honestly, I think to be honest, it does get mentally exhausting at times. However, you do have to put in the grind and the work.
For sure.
You know, and try to understand people a little bit more instead of just surface level.
Yeah.
So it's important.
I think that's what makes
us.
you guys unique in what you're doing too.
Yeah.
Because not everybody takes the time to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Erin, you might want to move the lavalier to the other side.
Yep.
You
just
for the video?
For the video.
Yeah.
It just would probably.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're going to break us off. You're going to tie in the audio and the video. And it's 1, 2, 3, a loud clap. And she does the magic. I'm just the host.
Okay. Good. All right.
Whenever you're ready.
1, 2, 3.
Very good. Welcome back to Defining Moments podcast. My name is Wong Lam, and today's very special guest is the executive director for Calm Waters nonprofit center in Oklahoma City, Erin Engelke. Erin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We connected through Instagram probably a few months ago, and then we all met at Whole Foods. You, me, my wife met up. And interestingly enough, I had a colleague that happened to walk by, and I went back to the office. He's like, "Hey, I didn't know Maria had an older sister. I thought, I thought she just had her brother." I was like, "No."
Oh, how funny.
Yeah, because both blonde, tall, in shape, and had a red jacket on. So
that's hilarious.
That was fun. Yeah. So how are you doing today? And it's not a surface level question. So if you're doing well, I want to know about it. If you're not, you want to share it. If you want to move on, we can move on.
Yeah. I am doing well today. You know, I shared a little bit before we started this afternoon that this week has been a little bit challenging for me mentally, more than anything. Just a lot of big obligations and commitments, all of which are super exciting and wonderful. And in the grand scheme of things, I enjoy them, but it does take a lot of mental energy to be prepared for them. I am a bit of a perfectionist, and that adds pressure on myself. Nobody else is putting that pressure on me. I do it to myself. But consequently, it causes me to be extra worn out. So, yeah,
that's okay. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We talked about earlier how Margie and I, we enjoy doing these podcasts, but it's a grind that we have to go through. And, to get to know someone more than just surface level, you have to do research and you have to communicate. And you do an amazing job, by the way, of communicating with just people, social media. And I know we'll get into a little bit of social media here in a little bit.
Right.
How are the kids and how's the husband doing?
Oh my goodness. So my kids are super excited about school starting on Friday.
Okay.
They are my kids are very energetic, super dynamic kiddos. They're amazing. They love life
Yeah.
very much, and I definitely feed off their energy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're excited about school. I have two kiddos that are in middle school.
Wow.
My oldest daughter is starting middle school for the first time this
Mm-hmm.
year, so there's some anxiety around that for her.
Yeah.
And then my youngest daughter is starting a new school and will also be the only kiddo in school, whereas in prior years she's been with her
Wow.
brother and sister. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a new adventure for her, but she
Mm-hmm.
is super independent. She'll just thrive and do great. She makes friends really easily.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And how's the husband?
And so my husband, Jason,
Yeah.
he is starting a new job.
Oh, wow.
He has been an administrator for the last 7 years, an assistant principal at a variety of elementary schools in Edmond. And
Man.
he made the decision to go back to the classroom. His real love is music.
Okay.
He taught music. His bachelor's degree is in music. And he has decided to be the choir director for Cimarron Middle School in Edmond. And so
Wow.
that comes with all kinds of new emotions, right? Like he's doing something
Mm-hmm.
totally different after he's been accustomed to a certain pace for a number of years. And so today was his official first day back, although
Mm-hmm.
he's had a number of meetings leading up to today. So
Yeah.
lots of big change for
Yeah.
all of us in our family.
Yeah. That's awesome. You're the executive director of Calm Waters in Oklahoma City. What is this? What's Calm Waters? I know it's a place for families and children uh, grieving, and you
Yeah.
get services. You provide services, nonprofit. It
Yep.
sounds pretty awesome. I'll let you go ahead and explain a little bit
Yeah.
more.
So Calm Waters is the only grief center located in central Oklahoma that is non-faith based. Our mission, honestly, is to serve children and families who have experienced a loss due to death or divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And we do so through free support groups,
Wow.
creating a community for people who've gone through a loss.
Mm-hmm.
We hear time and time again that when someone loses someone very close to them, or in the case of divorce,
Yeah.
a division in the family unit, there is a tremendous sense of loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that there's power in community.
Yeah.
And for adults and for children to be around others that have been through something just like them, it's so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so just in the last couple of weeks, we've had all of the families who are participating in our groups that start back up next week come in for orientation. So I had just the extreme privilege to get to know them, hear their stories, meet their precious kiddos. And it's really special. I mean, our work is hard. I mean, the stories and the circumstances that we deal with is extremely challenging, but we also see the change that happens with our families, the hope that they discover in being a part of our programs. And it's just amazing.
That is amazing. So how do they find your center? Or do you go out and do speaking engagements, presentations about the center?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything.
Okay.
We do a lot of speaking engagements. We do trainings, set up booths, etc. Lots of publicity, our social media, of course.
Yeah.
But then we get a tremendous number of families through referrals. So attorneys, divorce attorneys obviously recommend families to come to us. Hospitals. So if someone has a family member that has just passed away, they give them a packet of materials with Calm Waters information in it. And so then they can immediately reference our services. And schools, refer people to us. So lots of referral sources, lots of other agencies in the community as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know you are a public speaker, a professional speaker, and you have an amazing blog called Beauty and the Busyness, spelled out Busyness.
Yep.
And in there you describe about yourself, and the word fashionita sticks out to me. And when you first came in, you're like, oh, hey, I like your dress. You look really nice. And I talked to my wife last night. I was like, hey, should I wear ties? And she's like, well, she is a fashionita, so make sure you dress
That is so
nice.
funny. And then I specifically mentioned it, didn't I? Oh, well, you need to keep that wife of yours. She knows. She knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, she does. She does. So this blog, how did all this blog come about?
Oh my goodness. Well, it honestly dates back several years when I came to this realization in my own life of how important it is to support working moms. I felt very alone in my journey as a working mom and struggled to find that support system, and began the process of just writing about it. I blogged for a national working moms website for a while, then began speaking on the topic of work-life balance, specifically geared toward working mothers, but obviously everybody can benefit from that message. And finally someone said, like, you need to have your own blog, you need to have your own website, to be able to generate your own content versus leveraging other platforms. And so I created that actually just earlier this year in January. It was kind of a resolution of mine to get it launched during the start of the calendar year. And I made the decision to call it something a little bit different. I think that there's, we get so accustomed to talking about busyness in our society. And sometimes that can be viewed as a negative thing, which it absolutely can be a negative thing. But if you're busy doing the things that you love and that fulfill you and give you joy, then busyness is not a bad thing. And you can find beauty in that busyness. So that's really how my blog and website came to be. And so my mission with that is, again, mostly to support working moms, although I am a huge advocate for, just women in general and being able to support them in their journeys, whatever that journey may look like. Because everybody's journey is very different. We shouldn't be apologetic for that or, judge each other for the paths that we have chosen.
You talk about the blog and you talk about the beauty in the busyness, which is actually quite catchy. Obviously, you're a mom, a wife, you got 3 kids, you do a lot of stuff, executive director, got your own blog. How does Erin enjoy life?
Do you know, I am energized by having a lot to do. It's hard for me to actually sit still. In fact, a lot of times my kids will say, like, let's just sit and watch a movie, Mom. And it's hard for me to just sit and be still. I have to be folding laundry or organizing something or, and I realize that this is a little bit of a flaw too, because there is, and I talk about this often, how important it is for us to give our minds a break. And I have to force myself to do that because I get in this mode of just doing all of the time. But I enjoy that. But I also want to model for my kids how important it is, first of all, to have strong work ethic. But second of all, how important it is to take care of yourself. So if that's working out, is it, pursuing a hobby, painting, singing, whatever it is, like we need to have those outlets because our brains need that.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And with that being said, when you look upon your life, let's say 20 years ago or 15 years ago, what are some key moments in your life that I call defining moments? What are some of those moments that you like to share with our listeners?
Well, one in particular was when I was relatively early on in my career. I was around 25 or 26 years old. I had always intended to rise the corporate ladder in corporate PR, marketing, somewhere along those lines. But I discovered about 4 years into my career that wasn't filling my cup, that I didn't feel like I was utilizing my skill set to benefit my community. And I really didn't know what that was going to look like where I was going to go. I had worked for a bank in the corporate marketing department, was head of PR for an ad agency. So I had done, amazing things, but I didn't quite know what was next. I just knew that I didn't want to stay on that path. So I ended up just by luck, honestly, falling into a position with World Neighbors, which is an international development nonprofit based in Oklahoma City, but works around the globe. And I started in that role just as like a coordinator, managing some of their marketing efforts. And the CEO at the time was the first female CEO of the organization. And she and the board made the decision that they needed to invest more time and resources in their awareness and branding, and wanted to create a separate department, and really establish a position of VP of Marketing and Communications.
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile, my husband and I have been trying to have our first child for a number of years. I had lost 4 through miscarriage.
Oh man.
Extremely devastating. I mean, probably by far one of the most challenging times of my life, emotionally and physically. And about 2 weeks after I started at World Neighbors, I discovered I was pregnant with my son, who is now about to be 14 years old. Needless to say, this was like the most magical moment for me and my husband. Our dreams were coming true. We were very hopeful that this pregnancy would be successful. Meanwhile, World Neighbors decided to post this position, create a new department, hire for this VP role. I've always been of the mindset that I never want to ask the question, well, what if? And I remember going home, talking to Jason and saying, I really would like to apply for this position. I don't think that I'm suited for it. Like I'm still so young in my career.
Yeah.
Surely they're never going to hire someone with like 5 years of experience, 6 years of experience. But I went ahead and did it anyway. Because again, what's the worst thing that they can tell me? No.
Yeah.
Right? And then I still have a great job, have a baby on the way. Life is great. So went through the interview process. They actually conducted a national search, flew people in from across the United States.
Wow.
I brought in board members, pursued this interview. And in the end, a month or so later, the head of HR called me in, and I thought, oh, this is going to be that moment, right? Where they're like, thank you so much for applying, Erin. You did such a great job. And we decided to go with somebody else. So I was fully anticipating that that would be the case. I walk in and she said, I want you to know that out of all of the candidates that we interviewed for this role, you stood out as the best candidate, and we want to offer you this position. And at this time, I'm about 7 months pregnant with my son. And I felt like I was going to fall out of my chair. I said, do you realize that I'm 7 months pregnant with my son? I'm going to be going on maternity leave. And I'm thinking in my head, can I really do this? You know, they're completely trusting that I can do this. And I'm so amazed. And shortly thereafter, the CEO told me, she said, I see something in you and I want to invest in you. You are more than capable of doing this job. Wow. So obviously accepted the position, and it really was a turning point for me in the sense of other women supporting women, right? Like seeing that potential, pouring into them, guiding them and leading them, and also supporting me from a family standpoint. You know, I was able to go on maternity leave, come back, build my team, rebrand the organization. I traveled extensively, and really just, you know, grew my career from there.
Wow. And you were pregnant.
And I was pregnant.
And then you gave birth.
Yes.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So the busyness is a real thing.
A real thing.
A real thing going on for you.
Right.
Yeah. I remember watching a TEDx. You spoke at TEDx at OU 2014. Something. Yeah. And to this day, everything that you spoke about from then till now, I feel like it still stays true. And I want to pick your brain. So you quoted an ancient proverb, a rolling stone grows no moss. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. You know, my husband and I studied abroad when we were in college, and we lived in Japan for a period of time. And that's really where, you know, I first heard that proverb. And it really stuck with me, in part because, you know, there's a lot of talk among society about this theory or perception that work-life balance exists, or that balance exists in life. And to me, balance simply means that you have reached a point of perfection. And I liken it to a teeter-totter, right?
Yeah.
It's not possible to keep that teeter-totter balanced for very long anyway.
Mhm.
And really, you shouldn't, because the role of a teeter-totter is to go up and down. And similarly with a stone, in the sense of that proverb, is you never want to become stagnant. And if you are in a place of quote unquote perfection,
Yeah.
you're not growing, you're not learning, right?
Right.
Like all of the things that we experience in life, while they can be hard, and in the moment you're like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this.
Yeah.
When you look back, you have become a far better person. You've grown in ways that you never imagined, and you've never let that moss grow on you, right? Like you've continued to allow that rock to mold and form and be reshaped.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's such an important part of life. We should never
Yeah.
allow ourselves to become stagnant.
I love that. You mentioned the teeter-totter,
Yeah.
and in the TEDx, that's your favorite playground
Yes.
toy. So why is that your favorite playground toy?
Because it's constantly moving.
Constantly moving. It's not balanced.
It's not balanced. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I distinctly remember even in elementary school trying to find the balance on. I would sit in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever did that as a kid, but I would sit
Yeah.
in the middle of it because I was like, well, nobody else is around to help me balance this thing, so I'm going to sit in the middle of it. But you know, I talk a lot about how important it is to have people or aspects of your life that help keep you in sync, right? Because you can have moments where you have to invest more time and energy in work or family, but it never should be completely one-sided, right? Just like the teeter-totter. And it often takes people in your life to help you recognize that.
Right.
But it also takes identifying the aspects of your life that help keep you fulfilled and
Yeah.
joy-filled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What type of people do you surround yourself with?
Well, I love other strong women.
Yeah.
I certainly have some of those in my life that I respect tremendously, who hold me accountable, who love me enough and respect me enough to be able to, you know, tell me the things that nobody else can tell me, right?
Right.
And it comes from a true place of caring and concern, but also people that I can go to and say, like, I'm really having a tough time. Like, can I do this? Am I, you know, is this possible? And they're the ones that can fill my cup back up and vice versa. So important. My mom, absolutely. I learned all my strong traits from my mom.
Good.
And just respect her so very much and try to model a lot of her work ethic in my life.
Wow. When you talk about work-life balance, personally, what are some of your, let's say, morning habits or just habits throughout the day that you have to do, or else does your life turn a different way if these habits aren't met?
That is a really good question. And honestly, one thing for sure is exercise. Yeah. It, you know, science has proven how important exercise is, regardless of what form it is. You find the form that works for you, but it definitely has a powerful effect on your mood, on your ability to feel motivated for the day. And so generally speaking, I try to run every morning. About 4.5, 5 miles if I have time.
Oh my gosh.
I don't do that every day, but I try to do it at least, 3 to 4 times a week. And inevitably, the mornings when I feel like I cannot get out of bed and I just have to like do that self-motivating thing in my head, like, yes, you will feel better once you get up and do it. You might be tired now, but you're going to really regret it if you don't. And so I get up, I do it, and every time, 100% of the time, I never regret it.
I like it.
Yeah.
Wow, very good. What are a couple of questions you wish people would ask Erin, but no one ever asked?
Wow. You know, I find that I ended up doing a lot of the asking questions of people, so it's hard for me to even think about what I would wish people would ask of me. I think that like having a genuine desire to know how I'm doing, you know, not just the surface, like you know, led this podcast, but genuinely, how are you doing? And, you know, just more of a desire to know what goes on inside, you know, so like what motivates me and what fills my cup, and just, I think it's so important as humans that we are genuinely interested in each other and
Mhm.
what makes each other tick. And then following up on that, being that encouragement.
Yeah.
And all of us need that. All of us need that affirmation
Agreed.
and that encouragement, regardless of what it involves.
Yeah. Yeah. What motivates you?
Mm. I mean, I motivate myself a lot
Yeah.
just because I'm very goal driven, but my children motivate me. I want
Mm.
to see them be successful. And so I try to model my life in a way that, inspires them. My husband inspires me
Yeah.
for sure, and he motivates me. He's definitely one that I, go to when I'm having those moments of
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I can do this. He's the
Right.
one I can be the most transparent with
That's
for
awesome.
sure. And he still loves me, even in those moments where I'm probably a little bit of a challenge.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he definitely motivates me. He keeps me positive.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What fills your cup?
Man, I love service. I love to serve other people. I love to see them succeed. I
Yeah.
think those two things are super important to me in my the development of my character and my values. And I distinctly remember growing up, especially as like a middle schooler and teenager, you have those inevitable moments where people are not so very nice to you, and
Yeah.
you come home and you're just like, everybody hates me, nobody likes me, and just feeling super down on yourself. And I remember having lots of those moments
Yeah.
and coming home and kind of crying to my mom, and she would almost every time say, Erin, she would, build me up, like tell me all the things like, you are wonderful, you are special, all of that, but you just need to get out and serve someone.
Mm.
That's what's going to help you feel better about yourself. Stop focusing
Power.
on you and focus on someone else. And I remember that to this day. And it is a guiding principle for me. Whenever I have a down moment, I'm like, who do I need to encourage today?
Yeah.
Who else has it worse than I do? It puts it into perspective, right? Like,
Yeah.
my problems really are not as great as I perceive them to be. They just feel like it because they're all right here.
Mm.
But so many others need far more than I do. And so being able to pour into someone else actually fills my cup far, far more than anything else.
Wow. I think if Erin had a mic, we could just drop it and call it the end of the day for the podcast. We'll wrap this thing up, publish it, we
Yeah.
go with it. No, that's awesome. And I love that. Your mom. Wow.
Mhm.
That's tremendous advice.
Yes,
Wow.
like the best advice.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
then how do you give back to society today?
Well, I think through my professional pursuits, obviously,
Yeah.
I made the decision to stay in nonprofit management, and I've never regretted it. I love the opportunity to serve my community. I'm able to do that using my PR, marketing, communication skills, right? Like I don't have
Yeah.
to be a therapist in order to serve my community, or,
Yep.
I can use the skills that I have been given to still give back. And so I've been able to do that through, my professional career. But then, I serve a lot on
Mm.
boards, through volunteer activities, and I try to involve my children as much as I can.
Yeah.
Try to integrate my kids into my professional world,
Yeah.
so that they can be exposed to other children and families that, again,
Yeah.
are going through very traumatic situations.
Yeah.
Because they slip into those moments too of like, well, my friend has an Apple Watch and I don't have an Apple
Yeah.
Watch. And I'm like, well, let me tell you about the kids that don't have Apple Watches. you know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. So you like to give back. Do you like to receive gifts?
Oh my gosh, I love to receive gifts, and I
Yeah.
don't get them enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, because it reminds me of a book called The 5 Love Languages.
Oh,
You talk
yes.
about, yeah.
Absolutely. Love that book.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Because my wife and I, we give our guests gifts for coming onto the
I
podcast.
love gifts.
Yeah.
Yay.
And so.
That's awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cute. Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, I'd go with my skirt right now.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
we noticed that you received a gift box. I can't remember when it was. It was earlier this year from Need a Nod. Need a Nod gift box.
I did.
Yeah, how was that?
It was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
know them?
We did a podcast with her. I actually worked
Did
with
you
her.
really?
Yeah. Yeah, we just did a podcast last week
Oh,
with
very cool.
Marilee Barone. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's,
just love supporting local businesses too.
yeah,
And local entrepreneurs. I just think it's very, very important to be invested in your local community.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, you seem very strong-willed. You're driven.
Mhm.
What ticks you off? Anything tick you off?
Really weird things, probably. Like slurping. The sound of slurping, like sometimes sounds are really annoying to me. Isn't that funny? Like I'm telling you, it's not like in the grand scheme of things, really slurping. But yes, slurping. On a more macro level, one thing that really drives me crazy are people that are inconsistent in their moods. So, when you don't know what to expect with someone, if some days they're hot, some days they're cold, that is incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
I try to remain as positive as I can. Doesn't mean I always am, right? But I still treat people with respect and love and am gracious to them.
Yeah.
And so people that kind of flip-flop back and forth like that is just very frustrating.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow. So slurping and inconsistency.
Yes. And probably one more. People that don't
Okay.
move as fast as me. So like
Okay.
whether it's on the highway or doing a task or whatever, right? Yeah, I know. There you go. You asked.
Man. But yeah, no, I did. My wife would complain that I walk too slow.
Yes. Oh, I'm a very fast walker.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I walk slow, right, Margie? Yeah.
She probably runs circles around you, right?
Oh yeah, she's a health
Mhm.
coach,
Oh,
and she works.
yeah.
We both work out every morning, and
Right.
so yeah. But what are a couple things that people don't really know about Erin?
Let's see. I mean, probably a lot of people don't know that I am adopted, that my biological dad died by suicide when I was a little girl. And I do, occasionally speak about that just because of the work that I do at Calm Waters. I think it's important for people to know that I understand loss,
Yeah.
very significant and traumatic loss.
Oh.
And, that has defined who I am too. But I'm very grateful to have a dad that adopted me, after my biological father passed away. And, obviously very grateful that he chose me.
Yeah.
So that's something that most people don't know. And I think most people don't know how difficult it is for me to be completely vulnerable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That one's really tough as well. I think for a lot of people,
it is
become vulnerable.
It's hard to find to feel like you're safe to be vulnerable. And I know for me, that's a lot of what keeps me from being as vulnerable as perhaps I could be. Yeah.
When I listened to your TEDx on YouTube, I watched it, I could see by your body language and hearing the tone of your voice that I felt like you were being vulnerable. You talked about the empowerment of women, but more importantly, you talked about Erin and what she was feeling, what she had to go through. And then you mentioned here you had 4 miscarriages, and then you finally had one, and then you were going through a job interview. You got the job, then you had to travel, being pregnant, then giving birth, and that's real.
It is,
and it's
yeah.
I couldn't imagine going through anything what you've done. Wow. Who would be 3 people you would want to talk to on the phone? No social media. So talk to them or meet them in person.
Yeah. So like not people that I already know? Is that what you mean?
You can use people that you know now if you'd like.
Oh wow. Well, I mean, I don't know if you want this to go down the serious path or kind of a silly path, but I'm a big fan of Justin Timberlake. So I mean, I would definitely want, if it could only be on the phone, I would take that, but I'd love to meet him in person. But when it comes to like just life in general, if I have a need or, needs support for whatever reason, for sure, my mom would be a phone call or, a visit, stop by her house. Thankfully, she doesn't live too far from me.
Yeah.
And of course, my husband. But then also, I have a really good friend named Catherine, and she and I have a very special relationship. She worked for me twice, actually. And we like to joke that I laid her off one time and she still wanted to work for me and came back and worked for me again.
Yeah.
But she is an incredibly dear friend to me.
That's awesome.
She is one of the funniest people you will ever meet. She says literally whatever comes across her mind.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, she loves so hard and she cares so deeply. And she is one of those friends that can say whatever needs to be said to me and it doesn't hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
But because it comes from a true place of
Right.
love and concern.
Yeah. Wow.
So even to the point of like, Erin, you have broccoli in the middle of your teeth. Like,
Perfect.
most people would be like jarred by that. And but she says it. She's like, I don't want you to walk into a donor meeting with broccoli in between your teeth.
Perfect. That's what you need.
That's Catherine.
Yeah. Wow.
Love it.
When was the last time you challenged yourself with doing something you've never done before? And then what was the outcome?
So a few years ago, I made the decision to compete in the Mrs. Oklahoma pageant. And I had actually competed in a pageant in high school. It was a very small pageant. I didn't place, didn't win, but I loved it.
Yeah.
And so years later, obviously, I met some people who were winners of the Mrs. Oklahoma competition. And something inside of me, like, I get these desires to do something, and I just can't. You have to listen to those. I think it's important to listen to those goals and those dreams and pursue them. And so I reached out to one of the winners and just got information from her. Hey, I'm kind of interested in this. Don't know if it would be anything that I should pursue. And she just, oh my gosh, yes, you absolutely need to do it. Poured into me, and I competed. Tremendous amount of work. Like, I don't think anybody can fully appreciate how much work goes into preparing for a pageant than those who have been through a pageant. So much more than just getting your body ready. It's very much a mental, very mentally taxing. And so I did not place that first time that I competed, and it was devastating. It was really devastating to me because I felt like I'd worked really, really hard.
Yeah.
And like, what did I do wrong in this, constant attempt to be, to do everything just right. I couldn't figure out what I had done wrong, which I hadn't done anything wrong. It just wasn't my time. It wasn't my moment. I made the decision to compete again a second year, and I changed things up. I relaxed. I said, you know what? I'm not going to try to conform to a model of what I think I need to be like. I'm just going to be me. I'm not going to be so uptight about it. I relaxed and just enjoyed the process. And I ended up placing 4th runner up, which was amazing.
Wow.
And the contestants' choice, which meant everybody voted that they would have wanted me to win, which is a huge honor.
That's cool.
So, I was very proud in that moment. I didn't leave that year feeling devastated because I had been true to myself, given it truly my all, and not tried to be something that I wasn't.
Yep. That is awesome. It doesn't surprise me that you came back and you placed, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you.
That. So you talk about mentally taxing on a pageant. What's so mentally taxing about it?
Well, you're constantly comparing yourself to everyone else. That's a big part of it. You shouldn't, right? Like, we shouldn't do that, but in life we do it. Yeah. Especially as women, but men do it as well. And I think that was my biggest learning out of all of it, was that I needed to stop comparing myself to everyone around me. That I'm a unique individual. I have something very special to offer, just as they do. And that at the end of the day, it's up to the judges to decide who is the best, winner, the best contestant in that scenario. So that is very taxing. You also have to be prepared for the interview. The interview
Yeah.
is tough.
Yeah.
You only have like less than 30 seconds per
Hmm.
question
Yeah.
with the judges. You have about a total of 4 minutes with the judges to sell yourself to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And, you'd think that I'd be totally comfortable talking about myself, but it's actually a very uncomfortable thing for me. Having a degree and a career in PR, I have made it my life's work to
Yeah.
promote everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so to talk about myself is actually tough.
Yeah.
And I had to get to a place where I felt comfortable talking about myself and also kind of advocating for myself.
Hmm.
And so that part was a little bit mentally taxing.
I see.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for your younger self?
Relax.
Mm.
Yeah. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel with this technology in 2019, or even from 13 going forward, there's a lot of pressure on us as individuals, or perceived pressure from society? What do you think about that? Do you feel like there's a lot of pressure on us? Or do
Oh,
you,
100%.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah, to
absolutely.
perform at
Yes.
a certain
Yeah.
level?
And I think that social media especially amplifies that need for all of us to compare.
Mm,
We all look to so-and-so's post and vacation and
yeah.
family and all the things, and we think, well, I don't have that. Something must be wrong with me. Or my husband and I just got in a fight, but that couple sure looks really happy. I bet they never fight.
Mm,
And we all know that that's not true.
that's right.
But when you see those posts, you see those pictures, you get to a place of feeling less than.
Mm,
And I hate that. I don't quite know how to address it, specifically with the exception of just, leaning in and pouring into other people to help them realize that they are special and that it's okay to have flaws and it's okay to have bad days.
yeah.
And that no one human being is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, regardless of what you see. We're all, we all have our things that we're
Yeah.
battling.
Yeah.
Maybe not every day, but we have them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I agree with you about perfection. There's no such thing. And when I coach soccer, I always tell my boys, no one's training to be perfect because it doesn't exist to me.
Right.
But you train to become better every day.
Absolutely.
More importantly, as a human being. And soccer is a stepping stone into life. They always focused
Yeah.
on soccer. Parents were like, gotta get my kid to college playing soccer.
Right.
And I was like, soccer's a stepping stone into life. It's into that next level of life.
Yeah.
It's not all about soccer. It's not about sports, but
That's right.
it's about these moments that we all get to share in the same room, because these are the best moments that
They
you have
are
during
the
the day
best
sometimes.
moments. Yes.
Yeah.
And how important it is to be present
Yeah.
in your moments. I talk a lot about that when I give presentations on work-life balance. And I struggle with it. It can be hard for me too, because I have a lot of things pulling at my attention, as we all do. But sometimes you have to like forcibly remove those distractions. So,
Yeah.
one of the things at our house is when we have dinner around the dinner table, we have a rule: no phones at the table.
Mm.
And so if my husband ever, happens to have his phone on the table, whether or not he's on it, our kids, boy, they're quick to say, Dad, no phones at the table.
Yeah.
Take it off. Like, we want our children to know that they are important, that we want to hear from them. Like, this is a moment where there are no distractions. It is just us.
Yeah.
We need more of that, right? Like,
Absolutely.
we need to do that more than just at the dinner table.
Yeah.
And there have been times where we've even, as a family, done technology fasts.
Yeah. Ooh.
So we fast from
Yeah.
technology,
Yeah.
TV, Xbox, computers, social media, phones. I mean, obviously we have to use our phones,
Yeah.
but not using it for entertainment purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time we did it, I fully anticipated that our kids would be like, what? We're not going to get to watch movies. And surprisingly, it was our most relaxing, peaceful week ever. And
Yeah.
afterwards, our kids were like, we want to do this again.
That's
was great.
awesome.
Yeah, played board games and made up stuff and
Yeah.
sang and danced in the living room. And I mean, it's amazing how much time we fill, how much of
Yeah.
our life we fill with entertainment and technology.
Mm.
We complain all the time about there's not enough hours in the day. There are just enough hours
Mm-hmm.
in our day. You
Yeah.
don't need more hours in your day. If you had more hours in your day, you would just spend more time on Facebook, or
Yeah.
you would do something else with that time. Like, you have the right amount of hours in your day. And so we just need to do a better job of utilizing those hours better.
Yeah, utilizing, managing those hours.
Yes.
Yeah, my wife and I, we need to get back on it. But usually on Wednesday nights after 7 or 8, we don't get on phones unless
Love
it's
it.
no. That's including text messages. So
Yeah.
unless your family's calling, then
Sure.
you'll answer that.
Right.
And then usually after 9 o'clock throughout the week, we'll try to get off of social media and not even use the phones because,
Mhm.
I mean, you pick up the phone and all of a sudden you kind of naturally start comparing yourself.
You do.
And that's what we don't want. We just want to put blinders on. This is what we're doing. This is who we get to podcast with, and pick out some quotes about them and help them just share their story.
Yeah.
That's important to us.
Good for you. I mean,
Yeah.
really,
Well, thank
I
you.
think that that's an amazing example, and you should tell more people you do that. Because I mean, really, I think more families and couples need to spend time, quality time together, being fully present without that lure of technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick story. I remember we were in College Station, Texas A&M. We were at regionals playing soccer, and I took the guys out to eat lunch, and everyone was on their cell phones. And I was like, man, so I went and collected all these cell phones, and all of a sudden the restaurant got louder because they were actually interacting and talking for an
Yes.
hour and a half. Yeah. So hey, it's important.
It is very important. And, they say that, social media and our phones, they're meant to pull us in. They're meant to get us addicted to a certain extent.
Ooh.
And so we have to be super mindful of that. And I'm guilty of it too, for sure. But again, it's about being self-aware and being mindful of it, to say I have spent far too much time on this and it's time to put it away.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you read a lot, watch a lot of movies?
So I love to read. In fact, as a kid, I read like crazy, like all the time. Obviously, I don't have quite as much time now to read. But if I read, I generally like to find books that either are self-help or completely the opposite. My very favorite author is Elin Hildebrand, and she writes a lot of beach novels off the coast of Maine, and they're my very favorite. So anytime one of her books comes out, I'm like plowing through it. And it's just easy, right? Like, it's good to disconnect your brain and just focus on something that's not so heavy all the time. But I listen to podcasts and, audiobooks when I can on my commute to work and back. So I definitely enjoy to do that. And then I'm a little bit of a Netflix junkie.
Yeah.
So my husband and I canceled cable like years ago, and haven't missed it for a single minute, but we certainly would miss Netflix if we didn't have it. So we get a little bit attached to some of our shows, but it's nice to just have a little bit of something to just unplug with. Yeah.
So with that, you look at your life now. Is there a scene from a movie or chapter from a book that best represents your life right now?
So there's this movie, and I think it's called like oh goodness, I'm not going to remember it now. My terrible no good day. It's about a family.
Okay.
It's a fairly recent movie. It's about a family that literally everything goes wrong in their day, right? Like, they're trying to get kids to school, and the door gets left open when they're driving, and somebody drives by and knocks the mirror off of it and it breaks, and then the dog throws up in the car, and then like the cereal and the milk is all over the kitchen floor, and they're late for work, and I mean, it's like a series of unfortunate events kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that movie and just being like, yes, this is us, like all in one day sometimes. So that would be a pretty good depiction of our family.
Yeah. Wow, that's good. I think a lot of people could relate to that, especially couples with children and school starting.
Oh my gosh.
Or going on summer vacation, we've got to pack.
Right.
Kids are hungry.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there any outcomes you would change in your life if you could go back in time?
I don't like to live my life with regret. So I try not to look back and say, well, I wish this had been different, because I can't do anything to change it, right? And I don't think it's good to sit in negativity.
Yeah, that's true.
So while there's certainly choices that I wish I had made differently, or maybe had acted sooner, like
Mhm.
in a job, let's say, that I knew that I needed to move out of.
Yeah.
I had gotten to a place where I was either stagnant or I knew it was time to leave, but I belabored it because out of fear.
Yeah.
Fear of change is a powerful thing. So I think in those moments I should have acted sooner.
Mm.
So it's kind of those decisions that you
Yeah.
should have made sooner, that I wish that I would have changed or could change.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's genuine and honest.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will be like, no. But I
Yeah.
I could see that. I
Mhm.
could definitely see that. When you go through your life and you think about everything you've done, what's something you want to be remembered by?
So I thought about this question, and my immediate thought was, I want to be known for making the world's best chocolate chip cookies,
Yeah.
because I do make the world's best chocolate chip cookies.
I saw it on your blog.
Yeah. Yes. So of course, like tongue in cheek, but I really want to be known for being a person who genuinely cared about others,
Mhm.
and was uplifting and positive to them. Like, I want to feel like I made a difference.
Yeah.
And making a difference doesn't have to be massive, right? It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be like, having an incredibly powerful title.
Right.
It can, we need the power of one is important,
Yeah.
like making powerful changes, positive changes in one person's life could be it.
Mhm.
And so it is my hope that I will be remembered for that.
I like that. If you could sit in my chair and wear my shoes and interview yourself,
Oh,
what are a couple questions that you would ask yourself?
maybe why are you so hard on yourself?
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good one.
Yeah. Do you ever find that you're hard on yourself?
Absolutely, all the time.
Yeah. We
But
all
I
are.
got the balance because my wife tells me, hey, you're being too hard on yourself. You need to get
Right?
the teeter-totter effect. You need to find that
Yes.
balance again. Quit being so hard on yourself. It's
That's
going
right.
to be fine.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really. I guess we could have just ended the show there too. We could end the show 2-3 times already. Wow. So how do people get in touch with you?
Oh, well, through social media for sure. Follow my Beauty and the Busyness Facebook page. I like to, post helpful articles, tips, kind of aspects of my life.
Yeah.
Follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn. I have a pretty strong profile there, and I love to connect with professionals through LinkedIn, and then obviously through email too,
Right.
if that works. Subscribe to my blog. Again, beautyandthebusyness.com. So subscribe to that so you always know when I post a new blog.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be it.
So for the listeners and the viewers, your Instagram, what's your handle?
So my handle is just at Erin Engelke.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You might have to spell that for our listeners.
I know, I probably do.
Yeah.
Most people don't know how to spell Engelke. So it's Erin, Erin, and then Engelke.
Yeah.
Engelke.
And the blog is Beauty and the Busyness. Busyness spell it Busyness.
Yep.
Right. And Erin, do you approve this podcast?
I approve this podcast.
My name is Wong Lam, and I approve this podcast. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was fun.
Erin, my wife and I are forever grateful for the time that you've taken and you've given us to record this episode with you. We wish you all the very best. Keep chasing that greatness. There's no finish line. You got this.